Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chicago Gooner bringing you another Arsenal talk. Just let me start off by saying congratulations to Germany for winning the World Cup. Um, that was a great game all around. I thought Argentina played a little bit too defensive at times. Um, with all the firepower they have up front with Higuain and Aguero and Messi, and they did miss Di Maria, but you know I wasn't expecting them to play so defensive. They did that throughout the tournament for the most part, but you know they did have the better chances, especially in the first half. But it seemed like the second half, once the second half started, they just seemed like a completely dead team, in my opinion. But it was great to see Germany win. Um, seeing Mesut Ozil and Per Mertesacker and Lucas Podolski celebrating. Um, it was really great to see those guys to win the World Cup. It just has to be a huge confidence booster for each of them. That they'll be coming back to Arsenal on a high. And kind of let's make something clear here. Some of the other fan bases, especially the EPL, they're trying to make fun of us like they're like, oh, Arsenal just won the World Cup. It's not that. For Arsenal fans, especially when the World Cup comes around, or even you can say the Euros, even, we root for our respective countries, whether it be, in the United States, England, wherever you're from, if they are even in the World Cup. We root for our teams first, and then after that, if they get knocked out, or even during the World Cup, we want to see our players do well, and that's what Arsenal fans are all about. We're not trying to say that we won the World Cup. We're happy for our players. This is the kind of fan base we are. Is that we like to see our players do well, regardless of who they play for. I'm sure a lot of people from the UK, especially England, are they necessarily rooting for a team like France or even Germany? Not necessarily, but they want to see their players do well, because it puts a spotlight on the club. It says, oh my God, these guys are from Arsenal. I know back in France in '98, and even France in '06. A lot of those players were playing in the World Cup final, winning the World Cup, coming in second, of course. It's just, we support our players no matter what. We support our players through everything. Whether it be World Cup, Euros. If you have if we have players from the CONCACAF or South America, Africa, you name it. We're there giving them our fullest support, and that's all that means. It's not meaning that we won the World Cup. It's just we're happy for those guys that they gave it everything they had for their country, and they ended up winning the World Cup. And of course, like I said, it puts a spotlight on Arsenal. We have 3 Arsenal boys on that team. A lot of them are basically from Bayern Munich and Dortmund and stuff like that, and having another club like Arsenal being in the spotlight with those 2 other big clubs around the world, it's good for us. It puts a spotlight that's saying, hey, we're doing things right over here. We're bringing in the right type of players. We have 3 World Cup champions on our squad right now, and that's all that really means. Of course, Ozil got so much stick from the media. Why? I don't know. These people, these media members must be, I just don't get it. They are, they must be watching these games on standard definition still, instead of high definition, like the rest of the world is. They must have imaginary TVs in front of them. They think what they see, and I just do not get it, because he played great. He created the most chances out of any player in the World Cup. Is it his fault that his players, his teammates, couldn't finish the job? No, it's not. You can only provide the perfect pass so many times. Toni Kroos had one of the best chances for Germany. Couldn't even get it on target. And this guy is considered one of the better players in the world, one of the better finishers in the world, and That pass was perfect, perfectly weighted and everything, and he couldn't even put it on target. I think Ozil had two. I can't remember if another one was for Cruz or if it was for Andre Schurrle, and nothing was done about it. So it's not Ozil's, because the way he plays, he is so unselfish. The last thing that he ever wants to do is shoot. I wish he would kind of maybe change that about his game, but why? Why would you? I mean, if Ozil really wanted to, he could probably score 20 goals a game, or 20 not a game, 20 goals a season probably pretty easily. But that means he would have to become more of a selfish player, which he's just not. People criticize him for not being emotional enough. Who cares? Who cares if he's screaming on top of his lungs, or some people, how they celebrate after a goal, they make asses of themselves. That's just not him. He's very reserved, and that's who he is. So why keep on complaining about it? Just the way the space that he creates for others, the passes, how he takes on defenders. You can look at that German team, and there wasn't too many people who could take on defenders and make a few moves and create more space for others, or pull a pass that just seemed like impossible, but he pulled it off every single time. And like I said, it's not his fault that his teammates couldn't finish the job, that they couldn't put it in the back of the net. It's the same BS that you hear during the Arsenal season. Did he have a few bad games? Of course. Everybody does. CR7 has bad games. Messi had bad games. I mean, where the fuck was Messi last night? Or during the World Cup final? Where was he the whole time in the knockout rounds? He didn't score one goal in the knockout rounds, but everybody's still praising him. He should have never deserved the player of the tournament, that's for sure. If the player of the tournament was voted on after the group stage, sure. He had 4 goals. He bailed Argentina out throughout the group stage. But people are still kissing his ass, Messi's ass, and saying, "Oh, he's still the greatest in the world," and blah blah blah. Where was he? But you don't see too much stick going towards him. Because he's like a media darling, even though he doesn't talk either. I mean, that guy is just about as much reserved as Ozil is. I'm sure there's a little bit of a problem that he can't speak English, but, I'm talking about Messi as far as that goes. And you have to wonder, and you have to think too, that's why Ozil doesn't want to do too much media, because, these guys will stab him in the back 1 second, and then they'll be running up to him the next second, saying, "Oh, please give us an interview." So all the stick that he gets is just, it makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh, because he is one of the best attacking midfielders in the world. Period. Paragraph. End of story. And I forgot what his name is, but what was his name? He's an Italian guy, I think, from FIFA, who literally on the stage, while they're lifting up the trophy and celebrating, asked for Ozil's jersey at the end of the game. That's why you saw Mesut Ozil shirtless throughout the rest of the time. People don't do that if you're just some scrub, if you're just some other player. The people who actually watch this game, who watch Mesut Ozil and the things that he does with and without the ball, realizes how great the guy is. Excuse me. Of how great of a player he really is. And those same media members are, the day that he retires, are going to be saying, "God, I wish I could watch him play one more time." Well, you had all the opportunity to watch him play, period. But you chose to shit on him instead of giving him his credit. But it was great to see those guys win. It was great to see Mertesacker get in at the end too. For defensive purposes, for heading purposes. I think he had one little header at the end of near the end of the game to to help that defense out, which really needed because they were, you know, both Argentina and Germany, they were really on fumes in those last about like 5 minutes or so. Um, Bastian Schweinsteiger, had a great game. The guy was going down like every 10 minutes, so he was really getting beat down, and the referee could have did a better job, I thought, throughout the game. Because it got, it was getting, that Aguero, people on the TV, at least my TV, it was ESPN. Those commentators said the Aguero, it looked like a punch. His fists were closed and everything. It was a punch. They're saying, oh, it was accidental. He was going for the ball. No, you don't swing your arm like that when you're going for the ball. And if you're going for the ball, most of the time, players have their palms straight out. It's not a closed fist like that. And I think, the referee, even the side judge, they missed it. I think and the truth was in the pudding right in front of you. I mean, he had a big gash right on his face, blood and everything. So I think Argentina and Aguero was lucky on that one to not get a straight red card, because that's what he deserved, was to get sent off. But all in all, God, what a great World Cup. Definitely gonna miss it. Can't wait for the next one, of course, 4 years from now in Moscow. But what a great World Cup all around, from the group stage to the knockout stage. So much drama, so many great goals. There wasn't too many, wonder goals or anything like that, but there was enough goals to go around that it was just nice to see. It was great, attacking football. But then there's a lot of good defensive moments too in the World Cup. The goalies, the goalkeepers were just amazing, especially in the knockout stage. Tim Howard, Ochoa, Navas, Neuer. Yeah, I'm not going to give that prick from Newcastle any kind of credit, because that was kind of bush league. Talking smack is part of any sport, but when you kind of go over the edge like that, it's kind of ridiculous. But all in all, it's just a great World Cup. And again, congratulations to Germany for winning that. But on to some transfer stuff. Of course, Sami Khedira has been in the news just about the last 3 days, before the World Cup final, after the World Cup final today. I said in my last Arsenal talk that he wanted £200,000 a week. Now, I don't know if that's pounds or if it's euros. But again, we can't be paying that guy that type of money. We just can't. I know we have the money to pay him that, but we just can't, based on a single fact that, let's say we pay him that money. Let's say we pay him $200K a week. You know that Aaron Ramsey, even Mesut Ozil, even our new signing Alexis Sanchez, every single player is going to be knocking on Arsene Wenger's door and saying, I want a little bit of a pay raise. If you're going to pay that guy $200K a week, we just can't do it. Now, if you want to pay him 125, 130, if you want to get him 140 like Alexis Sanchez, sure, we can do that. Because you kind of have to, even though we have the money to do something like that, you need to balance it out. You can't pay, someone who's, Mesut Ozil's better than him, Alexis Sanchez is better than him. They deserve that type of money. Sami Khedira is one of the better defensive midfielders in the game. But, he's not Schweinsteiger, he's not Yaya Toure, he's not Vidal. While he is great, he's not, those guys where he's just like, I don't know. But I will say this, I said we shouldn't, I'd rather have Bender or Morgan Schneiderlin before Khedira, but after having some conversations with some Real Madrid fans, last year, at least here in the United States, it's probably different over there in Europe. If you're in the United States, at least for me, my cable subscriber just picked up BN Sports, which that holds all the Real Madrid and Barcelona La Liga um, games, and that was like the first real time I've seen a couple of Real Madrid games here and there, especially on Champions League. Um, but last year, I was able to watch just about every single game that Real Madrid played because of the uh, new channel for that came to my cable subscriber, which is that is beIN Sports. But Khedira got hurt early last year. He was ACL injury, so I didn't really wasn't really able to watch him play that much. So been in some conversation with some Real Madrid fans, and one of the main concerns I have is he disciplined enough to play as a defensive midfielder? Is he disciplined enough to sit back right in front of your center halves and cover for him? And that was my main concern of why I wanted Bender and Schneiderlin prior or before Khedira even. But my opinion has changed that now I rather have Khedira than Bender and Schneiderlin. All three would be great. Whichever one we get, we're gonna have a great defensive midfielder, in my opinion. But being in La Liga, it's just a different story over there. The league, in my opinion, it's not that great of a league. When you have teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid, yeah, it's great to have a top-heavy type of league. But the rest of the league, when you get below Atletico Madrid, there's not much there. Especially when you get in the bottom half of the league, there really isn't much there. Like I said on my last episode, that half of La Liga is bankrupt because of their television revenues. All their television revenues go to Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid. A lot of those teams don't make shit. Basically what they make is what they make off of their merchandise and basically what they make off of their ticket sales, and that's basically it. They really have no other type of revenue really coming in because Real Madrid and Barcelona really, they're cornering the market in La Liga, and I think it's unfair, especially those other teams, because La Liga could be one of the best leagues in the world if they share their profits, if they share their revenue like the EPL does. That's what makes the EPL, in my opinion, the best league in the world, top to bottom. But I'm kind of going a little bit off topic here, but talking to these Real Madrid fans, he said a couple of them basically mirrored the same comments that being in La Liga, it's a lot different than being in the English Premier League because of the talent level, because of the talent level on each of the teams. It's just not the same. Because 90% of the time, if Real Madrid wasn't playing Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and maybe you can throw another one in there like a Real Sociedad or something, who does have players on it that could cause some problems. The majority of the time, Real Madrid didn't need a defensive holding midfielder because of the lack of talent that they're coming up against. Because like I said, if they're not playing Barcelona or Atletico Madrid, 90% of the game they're on the attack. The other 10% of the game, they might be just letting the other team have the ball for a few seconds so they can catch a breather. But they both said when they play Atletico Madrid, when they play Barcelona, Sami Khedira did set up shop. He did become that defensive holding midfielder where he just didn't move, where he stuck close to likes of Pepe or Varane or Ramos to cover for him. And that when you watch some of those games, even in past Champions Leagues, when they came up against a really good side, such maybe like a Dortmund or Bayern Munich or PSG, any of those sides, Sami Khedira became that defensive holding midfielder. But he's also great at pushing forward and attacking. But also they said too that Khedira is very smart. He's a very smart player. He picks his times to attack and to push forward rather than always sitting back. That he's very aware of what's going on around him. He's very aware of how the game is going, whether it's slowed down or fast paced or heavy attacking on Real Madrid's part. And they need an extra body in that final third. And they said he's very smart when it comes to that. That he can identify those times that he needs to bomb forward and help out in the attack. But then he's just as smart as knowing when to hold back and stay within 5 to 10 yards of his center halves to cover for them or their fullbacks. So that was pretty positive to hear that from Real Madrid fans. That if we do get him, that we're getting one of the best defensive midfielders in the game. So I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully that does go through. Of course, the reports are saying 23 to 25 million pounds. But then again, if he's asking for those type of wages, we might have to say, okay, no deal, because those wages are just ridiculous. Like I said, if we can get him down to like say 125, 130, 140, I'm fine with that. Sign him up, get him in the side, have him come back or have him come to the club at the same time as all the other Germans come back. Which I know a lot of people are asking, when will they return? When will they return to Arsenal? My guess is that Arse will let them have at least a couple weeks to themselves, maybe even 3. I think they deserve probably at least 3. I know that comes really close to the start of the season. I would almost expect them to be back the week of the Community Shield game against Manchester City. That's when I think they'll be back, or that's when I think they'll be back in full swing and practicing with the team and everything like that. And they deserve that because, being in Brazil, the weather and the travel that they had to do, and their bodies have got to be just like just completely dead right now. So they deserve that time off. All 3 of those guys gave their heart for Arsenal during the season too. So and we'll have enough cover. We'll have enough bodies in the starting 11 on the bench, so those guys can have an extra week or 2 to just get recharge their batteries, because it's better for letting them recharge their batteries rather than having them come back and just be completely legs dead, mind dead, physically just dead all around. You want them to coming back refreshed, wanting to play, wanting to start the season. So hopefully that'll happen. Of course, another wage demand as well is Loic Remy. Of course, there's nothing about a fee, because the fee is $8 million. That's it. He has a buyout clause for $8 million, so the fee is not a problem. Yeah, I guess it's the wages that are back and are putting this on the back burner a little bit. Supposedly he wants £80,000 a week, and that's what he wants in wages. What Arsenal is offering, I don't know. I don't know if it's 60. I don't know if it's 70. I know Nicholas Benter was making £70,000 a week last year, so maybe they're offering the same thing, because Bender was basically the second or third striker last year, and that's what that's what Remy will probably be. Most likely is like the second or third striker. Most likely the third striker, because it'll be going flip-flopping between Giroud and Sanchez, and then you'll have Remy as backup. But if they can get him down to at least like 70, hopefully they agree to something like 70 or 75, because all you have to do is look at last year and what happened. Giroud played almost every game. He was dead by February. Injuries, of course. Bender was hurt at one time. Sanogo was hurt at one time. That Giroud had to play every single game. And, we just can't have that again. If you look at every other club, they have at least 2 to 3 good strikers on their club. You look at Manchester City, they have 4. With Negredo, with Aguero, with Dzeko, and Jovic. That's 4 strikers. Of course, they can afford all that kind of crap up there. But at the same time, you need 3 good strikers. You need three good strikers just in case. What if Giroud and Sanchez go on a little bit of a cold streak? Plug Remy in there. Maybe Remy will even get hot at one time. You need competition. You need competition between to make Giroud better, to create competition that makes Sanchez better. You need that in a club. You need that pushing forward. And just like what I've been saying this whole time, when you're playing on four fronts, you need as many players as you could possibly get, because the squad last year was so dire that we had no answers. We had to bring up Serge Gnabry to help out with the wingers, and then of course he gets hurt at the end of the year anyway. We had to start calling up some of our youngsters just to put them on the bench. We can't have that going forward. When you have strikers, when you have even when you just play with one striker, you need at least three strikers on your team. And plus, if we get Remy in, we can send Sanogo out on loan. When you have strikers, you have wingers, you probably need at least 5 wingers on your club. You need probably at least 4 center halves, which we only have 3 right now, so I think we need another center half at some point. So hopefully they get that all worked out, to get the wages at least that are respectable, that Remy can, and there's incentives too. I mean, even if he can't, even if you say 70,000 pounds a week, put an incentive on there that, you get X amount of dollars for scoring 10, 15 goals in a season, or you get X amount of dollars for appearances, if you win Champions League, if you win the league title, stuff like that. So there's other ways that he can make money to make up for that, say 10,000 pounds a week. Because I think that'll even be better, because that'll make him want it more. That'll make him want to, try even harder to try to get into the side, to try to get into the starting 11, to try to even get on the bench. So hopefully that works out, because I think he would be a great signing. Hopefully the Khedira stuff works out, and all the 200K rumors are just bullshit. Of course, he's coming near the end of his career too, or at least the end of his prime. This is going to be his last kind of big contract, in my opinion, because he's 27 years old. Khedira is. So I think he's kind of in that mode that, okay, if I can get like a 4 or 5 year deal, this is going to be my last big contract. So whenever that kind of comes up, they always try to ask for as much money as possible, obviously. But hopefully that works out. The Debuchy signing, supposedly it was supposed to be today or tomorrow. Or at least when you'll be listening to this, it'll be Monday. It was supposed to be announced, or Tuesday. So who knows when they're even going to announce that. Hopefully it's soon. I don't know if they're just waiting for, maybe they're just giving Alexis Sanchez a few days, especially with the Puma launch. They're just giving that, a few extra days to settle in with the fans until they announce someone else. Of course, with the World Cup and everything too. I think they want to have as less media as possible going on, so when they announce a player that it's big news, so that Arsenal can stay on top of the headlines each and every day. So hopefully he'll be announced soon, because that'll be another big boost to the club. The players are already saying great things about Alexis Sanchez, and they can't wait to meet him and for him to get into the club and play. So yeah, good things are happening. Everything's looking good though. Again, talking about transfers with other clubs fans, it's kind of funny where they're sweating us big time, and it's great to see. You even have some media members saying if we get Khedira in our side, that the league is almost basically over. We just have to play it and win it now. So that's good to hear. But other than that, that's all I got for you. Actually, I have one other thing that I wanted to talk about. There was a comment by Urgent Thug in my last video. I was gonna type you back, but I figure I would just respond back to in this Arsenal talk. His comment was, if Arsenal had ambition back then, talking about like the old era. If you listen to my last episode about the new era of Arsenal Football Club, he said if Arsenal had ambition back then, we would have kept Fabregas, paid top money to bring in Yaya Toure and a striker to replace Adebayor. Um, Then he goes into why the club was so reluctant to spend money in those years, and mentioning players like Park. I don't. To answer that one real quick, I don't even think Arsene Wenger knows why he signed Park. It's kind of like if he lost a bet or something, or if he lost a poker game, and some guy said, you have to sign Park. I don't think anybody really knows why he even signed that guy, or if he signed them, if he even signed him, or if somebody else did. I don't even know. Thank God he's gone. I think he only had maybe one or two appearances in an Arsenal shirt, which is funny. But to answer your question, if we would have kept Fabregas, we would have never kept Fabregas. Fabregas basically forced his way out. We were only paying him, I believe, £100,000 a week during that time when he left, but he forced his way out of Arsenal. It wasn't Arsenal selling him because they wanted to, because Arsene Wenger didn't. He tried to convince Fabregas to stay, much like RVP, and Fabregas wanted to leave. Of course, he wanted to leave back to his boyhood club. And if you look at Barcelona back then, Barcelona was on top of the world. They were the best club in the world at that time. They were winning Champions League. They were winning La Liga. They were winning the Copa del Rey. I mean, any trophy that you can think of that was at the club level, they won it. And they were winning it at the time. So it's kind of hard when you're saying we should have tried to keep them, but we did. But we just didn't have anything to go off of because Arsenal wasn't winning anything. I know maybe your retort would be, well, if we would have bought players, but we just didn't have the money to because we were playing off the Emirates. Your Yaya Toure comment, we couldn't get a work permit for Yaya Toure. That was the only reason why he didn't come to Arsenal. He was ready. He had a contract signed and everything, and all you got to do is look up the rules and regulations for the EPL work permits, and they're pretty strict. The EPL has some of the strictest work permits of any league in the world, and I wish they would change that immediately, because if you look at some of the players that Arsenal could have signed, back in the Invincible days, even back in after the Invincibles were done, we missed out on some huge players because of work permit regulations. Last year we tried to sign a Colombia kid who is a defensive holding midfielder, and we were going to sign him. We were going to bring him to the club, and the EPL denied him a work permit. So those work permits are a pain in the ass, especially in EPL. Of course, world-class striker to replace Adebayor. We did have one, RVP, but he just couldn't stay healthy. RVP was getting, hurt almost every single year, whether it was through his knees, his back, his legs, you name it. He was supposed to be the striker after Henry left. He was the heir apparent to Henry after he left, and he just kept on getting hurt. He kept on getting hurt, and of course, his last 2 years were his best in his career, and it's still the best in his career. Those 2 years with Arsenal, and the 10-11 and then the 11-12 season were his best years as a player at the club level. But prior to that, he just kept on getting injured. So, when you're depending on a guy like that, and it's tough when you don't have any money to spend, when you're trying to pay off the Emirates, to try to get that bad debt off your books. It's kind of tough to buy players and to spend 30, 40, 50 million on players when you just don't have it. They were selling players so they could buy players. I mean, that's how terrible our war chest was back then. So, but that's to answer your questions real quick. But that'll be it for now. If you guys have any comments, questions, please leave them. And if anything comes up again, anything else to talk about, I'll hit you up in the next Arsenal talk. Later.